for no additional business, and call to order the August the 8th Jefferson County Commission meeting. Our invocation today will be held from District 1. Commissioner, would you like to introduce your...
Absolutely.
And go ahead and assign someone for the pledge.
Okay, absolutely. First of all, good morning, everyone. Our invocation on behalf of District 1 today will be Dr. Michael Wesley. He is the senior pastor at Greater Shiloh Baptist Church, and it is our honor to have him with us. And I'll just say duly noted that he's a wonderful family member, so it's my honor for him to come and share a word of prayer with us this morning. Also, if you don't mind, Marvis Young will do our Pledge of Allegiance. Come on up, Pastor.
Shall we pray? Eternal God, our Father, we are thankful and grateful for the gift of life and for the blessing of this day. We thank you for healthy bodies and willing spirits to be able to face the opportunities that stand with us today. We lift before your throne all elected officials, in particular this county commission. We pray that you would bless the business as it is conducted today, that the good that may come to the citizens of this county may be affected. We love you, we honor you, we praise you for who you are. Continue to bless us and keep us by your keeping power and use us for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I got ahead of myself a little bit. Would like to call a meeting to order now. And would you please do the roll call, Alicia?
Commissioner Bowling.
Present.
Commissioner Knight.
There.
Commissioner Scales.
Present.
Commissioner Tyson. Commissioner Stevens.
The invocation and pledge of allegiance have been...
We have to do it again?
No, we don't have to do it again. Having been accomplished and roll call made, we will now go to the item 5 on the agenda, which is approval of the minutes.
Move we dispense the reading of the minutes, adopt them as written.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Presentations are next. There is a resolution, August 4th through 10th. It's National Health Center Week. This is coming from District 2, and Commissioner Tyson is out on other business today. So I think I have my glasses.
Just read it from
I'm going to just read it for you. We have a resolution for over 60 years, community health centers have provided high-quality, affordable, comprehensive primary and preventative health care in our nation's medically underserved communities, delivering value and having a significant impact on America's health system. Whereas the country's largest primary care network community health centers are the health care home for over 31.5 million Americans and over 15,000 communities across the country. 1 of every 11 people in the United States gets their care at a community health center. And there's several more whereases, and whereas the community health centers are locally owned and operated small businesses that serve critical economic engines, helping to power local economies for generating $85 billion with a B dollars in economic activity and more than $37 billion in labor income in some of the country's most economically distressed communities. And whereas the community health centers nationally support more than 500,000 direct and indirect jobs, including physicians, nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, licensed family therapists, certified nurse midwives who work as part of the multidisciplinary clinical teams designed to treat the whole patient. So, now therefore the Jefferson County Commission of the State of Alabama resolved the week of August 4th through the 10th, 24, is National Health Care Centers Week. Signed, this Commission President, 8th all commissioners have signed. Do we have? Yes, great. This is something normally that Commissioner Tyson does, but she's out of town. All right, well, they're going to photo op here. Come on, everyone. And let's do it up here with the commissioner, okay?
You gonna come up, Jimmy, or you want us to come down?
I'll probably need to come up. What we'll do, we'll put this for you, and let y'all come in for a great picture, and I'll come up here.
I'm tired of standing behind your butt. Tail.
All right. Do we have everybody?
On three. 1, 2, 3. On three. 1, 2, 3.
We got it? Guys, God bless you and thank you for what you do. Thank you.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Please.
Which one of these?
They say you have to buy this out.
Abby. Miss Hoover. And you got Tim here with you. I don't know what to say about that. You've been presented with Commissioner Knight. Commissioner Knight has a presentation. And
All right,
we're all proud. We can all share in that.
Miss Abby, if you'll go to the lectern there, because you're going to be speaking. If Miss Nan and Tim, if y'all join her there, I'd like to read a resolution. Whereas Abby Stockert is a senior at Auburn University School of Nursing, after which she aspires to become a pediatric certified registered nurse anesthetist.
There's
And-
another connection. Another connection to you.
Yeah. And whereas Abby Stockert's academic achievements, including Dean's List, Lambda Sigma, Spirit of Auburn University Scholarship, and Miss Alabama STEM finalist 3 years in a row. And whereas Abby Stockert's service initiative is Be the Change, Find the Cure, a cystic fibrosis awareness, for which she's raised over $190,000 this year at an event emceed by Fawn Beinbaum. And whereas Abby Stockert received a proclamation from Governor Kay Ivey recognizing May 26th as Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Day in Alabama. And whereas Abby Stockert has modeled for Gus Meyer and the Clothes Tree and has been featured in Alabama Weddings and Hoover magazines. Whereas Abby Stockert is a Vestavia resident, competed as Miss Hoover in the 2024 Miss Alabama competition, where she won an evening gown preliminary award and a talent preliminary award for her contemporary dance to You Say by Lauren Daigle. And whereas the competition was held the week of June 23rd through 29th, at the end of which she was crowned Miss Alabama 2024. And whereas Abby Stockert plans to maintain the Miss Alabama social media landscape as a place of education, inclusivity, and promotion by bringing attention to serve a positive lifestyle and powerful affirmations. Now, therefore, we, the Jefferson County Commission, do thank and show deepest gratitude to Abby Stockert for her outstanding service to the citizens of Jefferson County, Alabama, and wish her much success during the year to the citizens of the state of Alabama and as she competes in the 2025 Miss America competition. Congratulations, Miss Abby Stockard.
Now you have to say something.
Okay, thank you for that. That was a very sweet introduction. Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be recognized this morning. Like he said, I have grown up in Jefferson County, born and raised, and I'm very honored that I not only get to represent Miss Alabama this year, but I also get to continue representing Jefferson County. This was my third year competing for the title of Miss Alabama. You know what they say, third time's the charm, and it was for me. What attracted me to this organization was the scholarship money. Over the past 3 years of competing, I have acquired over $36,000 in scholarship money. Like Mr. Joe said, I am pursuing my Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree, and because of this opportunity, it has paved my way through college debt-free, and I'm hoping that after my year of service, I will gain some critical care experience and then apply to nurse anesthesia school. He also talked a little bit about cystic fibrosis. The way that works is each Miss Alabama contestant has to come up with some kind of service initiative, and it's basically a platform that you're passionate about. When I was in third grade, I met my best friend, Maddie, and she suffers from cystic fibrosis. And growing up, seeing my best friend lying helpless in a hospital bed, hooked up to oxygen, sparked a fire in me at a young age that this was unfair. There currently is not a cure found for cystic fibrosis, and because of research, the life expectancy is now up to 56 years old, but that's not good enough for me, and so I've made it my mission to become a lifelong advocate for her and for others fighting this disease. And like you mentioned, this past year, because of the Hoover community, I was able to spearhead my very own fundraiser, emceed by Paul Feinbaum, pretty cool, and we were able to raise over $190,000, and so I'm excited that I now have the opportunity to be an advocate for cystic fibrosis on the state level, and I'm really excited to continue representing Alabama and Jefferson County, especially at Miss America this year. So thank you so much for honoring me.
When she finishes, when you all finish with your photo. Aww. Okay, I do want to say something to her. Joe, are we allowed to be in this picture? I heard that this was...
I'm photobombing it.
Yeah, I mean, I heard this is what you've been waiting for.
Yeah, my lip lighted up. Y'all want to stand up.
Whatever.
Now, you made me last when you made me come up here. Now, I want to remind everyone that she lives in Commissioner Boland's district. and she was representing the city of Hoover, which is in Commissioner Boland. Commissioner Stevens' district. You want me to move?
Yeah, I thought we needed to move over. Come over. Come over just a minute, Boland.
A little bit.
I got these in
A little bit more.
Okay. Ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3.
But she's going to be a star in my former.
And your former professor, that's right.
Fingers crossed.
Don't take the degree and end up here.
If you don't mind, I want you to go back to the podium, if you don't mind. Come on, Joe. She through taking pictures with you now. It's over. Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations to you. Young people are my Achilles heel. So I want to tell you that, first of all, I love your articulation and your ability to be able to speak in terms of what got you where you are and why, right? But I did want to say this one thing as a personal testimony for myself, which in time I will talk about publicly. I will say your profession means a whole lot more to me than you will ever know in terms of what you're aspiring to become. Anytime that you are working with children, sometimes I think in the health profession it has turned not so warm like it once was. Never lose your passion in that regard, because that's the gift that keeps on giving. And one day those children will look back at you and they'll say, hey, she saved my life. She did da, da, da. You know what I mean? But I want you to know that. And so, like I said, in time, I will say why. But I have such a huge regard now for pediatric nurses and things of, I mean, it's incredible. And the only way that you're going to continue to grow and in certain things is that you got to have a passion for it. You understand what I mean? But I want to tell you that you're beautiful. More importantly, you're not a hair rack. You actually have a brain. So let it be beauty and then brains, or brains and then beauty is what I meant to say. Brains and then beauty. And Tim, I cannot say enough for him, because he always puts that program all the way on top. And so I thank you for the work that you do. And thank you too, young lady. But nevertheless, just know that that profession is awesome. And you will always have a job.
Right.
You do understand that. That is job security. Government jobs, political jobs, but that job, you'll always have a job. So congratulations again. Looking forward to you representing Alabama by way of Jefferson County on that huge stage. And whether you win or not, we think you're a winner.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for saying all that.
You got it.
Thank you very much.
Young lady, I got to add one thing to that. She left out your home city of Vestavia. I want you to know that there's a young lady, she is my heart and my life. She's 32 years old, lives in Murfreesboro, but she graduated in 2010 from Vestavia. She was aware of what you were doing, and she was pulling for you. And I can tell you right now, there's nobody more proud than your father, because I understand the daddy-daughter relationship. I wish you the best. Go win it all.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I was remiss. We have with her Tim Gann and Miss Nan Tannenbaum. So they are her spiritual advisors, her coaches, her, rah-rah team, and they do a great job. And you're not the first one they brought here, nor will you be the last. But you're going to win it this year.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And things were going so well.
It seems so out of order.
I have to be neutral this year. I'm always an Honor fan. But thank y'all. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner. Thank you very much. I'd like to move ahead in the agenda till our resolutions. That's number 8. There are several people here that probably need to get back to work. We're going to go through because the public hearings will take the majority of our time. Commissioners, you have before you 64 resolutions that were properly vetted, I guess, properly vetted in our Tuesday pre-commission meeting, and we also have 2 new business items to consider. Chair would love to entertain a resolution to consider all of these.
So moved.
All right. Second.
Have a motion
Mr.
and a
President,
second.
I'd like to take item 61 for separate consideration.
All right. We have an amendment. Do I have a second to the amendment?
Second.
Second to the amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? There being no opposition, this will carry us through our 64 items. Number 61 to be considered separately, and 2 new agenda items, which I will describe in just a second.
You'll do them now.
So let's go ahead. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do the new agenda items, and then we will have a motion to approve everything. One is from District 1. It's a appointment of a member of the Fire District Board to fill a vacancy. It's time sensitive, and it comes from Commissioner Scales' office. It's been through the process, and like that one to be considered. And the second one to be considered is a community grant from my office, which is to the Hoover School System for $25,000.
Motion for consideration of 2 items of new business for unanimous consent.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? There is none. That's
I move items 1 and 2. Sir?
Second. Roll call vote.
roll call.
Commissioner Bowling,
Yes.
Commissioner Knight,
Yes.
Commissioner Scales,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson, Commissioner Stevens.
Yes. All right.
Now move the items.
Second.
All in favor? Roll call vote again.
Commissioner Bowling,
Yes.
Commissioner Knight,
Roll Tide? Yes.
Commissioner Scales,
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson, Commissioner Stevens.
I was about
Yes.
to give him something back in return for.
All right. So the items of new business, how about 1 through 64? Commissioner Knight?
I thought we moved those.
Oh, we did those.
We did those.
We have a separate
Okay,
vote for-
so
You
so
just
we're
had a separate-
so we're good.
61.
Separate.
We're
You
down
got
on
one we have
61.
separate.
Yeah.
Commissioner Knight.
All right, this is a resolution authorizing Commission President to award the contract agreement between Jefferson County, Alabama and Stone Building LLC, the lowest responsible bidder, for the construction of the Jefferson County Animal Control and Care Facility on Lake Shore. So we are proud to get to this point. We're proud to partner with the Greater Birmingham Humane Society in this whole project collectively. Allison, she's here. We have some board members here. If y'all want to say something real quick. Sure. You know, I can't imagine you.
You're limited to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Allison
Wait,
at
bring
30
your vote.
seconds.
Y'all
That's
come
like
up,
me.
guys.
I know.
No, y'all, everybody come
After I
up.
saw
Come
the
up.
agenda and all those resolutions, I was like, man, you're going to get out here till 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
So this is Jody.
This
Sayre.
isn't City Hall.
I didn't say that. This is Jody. He's the chairman of our board. And I know none of y'all know Charles McPherson.
we
Charles
know
is on our board of directors.
No.
John Haley is vice chair of our board of directors, and I represent the 100 or so people that work and hundreds of people that volunteer at the GBHS locations. And I just want to say thank you. It's been a long time coming. I stand on the shoulders of Jackie and a lot of people before me, the ladies in the auxiliary who started this effort probably in 2001 or 2, and the citizens and donors who recognized it was time for a new building. And we just love y'all and we appreciate it. That's all I know to say. That's all I know to say. I'm going to start crying, and that's not going to be pretty.
And we're proud to partner with you, and we're going to get this done. This is going to be great. I move the item.
Second. And before it carries, Mr. President, I do want to say that Allison has been very, very communicative as it relates to anything that happens in our respective districts. She is going to call to let you know, even if it's not necessarily in your district, it could be near the district, but she wants you to know exactly what's going on to this wonderful board. I got my little Chloe from the Humane Society. You all are truly making a difference in terms of making sure that these animals have a home. And I'm always glad to be a part of when you all have, Allison, give me the name. I want to say it correctly. But your annual fundraising event. Cat Ball?
Jazz Cat Ball.
Jazz Cat
Today's
Ball?
National Cat Day.
Okay. But I do want to say that I'm glad you're keeping your ball in Jefferson County, even if it's not, but at least Jefferson County. But I do want to say, in short, that Allison has been superb. I'm saying that to the board. Hint, hint. Leave her there. She definitely is on it when it comes down to making sure that we know what's what, and that helps us because when you start talking about expanding in a project such as this is how you get it done because you're communicating. You're not just asking for money. You're actually having a partnership that yields a respectful, healthy relationship. That makes a difference. So, Allison, like I said, to give you 30 seconds, and you only did, I guess, about 30 or a minute, but we're one and the same. So congratulations to you. Thank you, board, and good to see you, Mr. McPherson.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir. Thank you all. Have a good day. Thank you.
And I want to also tell you, I have to again for my family.
That's right.
You know who my daughter
Yes, I
is.
do.
She's a dog lover. My wife, the whole family. They're so proud of you and what you've done. And one of your board members started practicing law the same year I did. He's a gentleman and a scholar. We're just so excited for what you're doing because, you know, this also comes from my 9-year-old dog, Rocky.
Well, we appreciate it. I know you love German Shepherds, and we know Jimmy's Golden Retriever guy, and then you two, too. I know y'all all love animals, and I know Commissioner Tyson does as well. So just thank y'all so much. We really do.
I just have mutts.
Well, so do
They're
I.
great.
Yeah. So-
Don't forget, Mr. President, we need to carry the vote. We had a first and second. We didn't
He
carry
did.
it. I
He
stopped
did.
it.
We were just waiting.
Did it carry?
About 30 seconds. Alice, I know.
I think we voted.
Yeah.
We didn't vote.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Let's do a roll call vote because this one's important.
Yep.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Knight,
Absolutely, yes.
Commissioner Scales,
Absolutely, yes.
Commissioner Tyson, Commissioner Stevens.
Yes. Thank you very much, and let's get this thing built.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Hey, Joe.
All right, everyone, we're now going back.
Fun stuff's over.
And now we're going back to our public hearings. Let's go through these and looks like we have people who wish to speak in 4 of these. So let's just go ahead and begin with the Z240009 for K&K Properties, Jason Wilson. Jason's requesting a change in zoning to RG for garden subdivision for 59 proposed lots and 12.2 acres. Michael.
Yes, sir. If you will recall, this was carried over a couple of months ago for the applicant to coordinate with some neighboring property owners. There is a letter that sort of summarizes his activity since then. That's been provided to you all. It's on your dais right now. Again, this is the conceptual site plan here. You see the 59 garden home lots. It does have a rather, it's dense as it's proposed. Again, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended that the approval with the recommendation that the architecture of the homes be in character with the surrounding neighborhoods, and that a privacy fence be installed along the south property line, and said privacy fence is to be maintained by an established homeowners association for the development. Staff is recommending some modified covenants. One, the visual screening with buffering mechanisms shall be required along the south property line where adjacent to A1 zoning, as compatible with topography and drainage. And then 2, that sidewalks be provided both internal to the development and along Eastern Valley Road. Any questions?
We've been back and forth on this one,
Correct.
and I think we've had some in-depth discussion about crunching all these lots together as demonstrated here. In 59 houses, lots, in what, 12.1 acres? It's almost 5 houses per acre, is my math correct? And that's probably even more dense than that, because I don't know that the 12.2 acres doesn't represent some extra space that a house can't be built on. Is there a retention pond area?
Yes, sir. It's along the western property line. It's at the very rear of the development. That's where the drainage, and you see the contours here sort of lead back to that portion of the property anyway.
Is this like on the side of a hill, or is it flat, or is it got to be graded?
It's relative. This portion of the county is relatively flat in comparison.
Yeah. You have the pump station, Michael, there at the bottom left.
That is correct.
And then the lots that are in that cul-de-sac are larger lots. Are the housing, are they going to be any different size houses? you know, you can't put much on one of the, I'll reference
Correct.
Cheshire Farm, Cheshire Park. There's different size homes.
Again,
in there.
that's more or less a question for the developer. But
So it'd be up to the developer.
that's correct.
Okay.
They would be held to the minimum requirements of that particular zoning district.
And that, which is
I believe it's 1,000 square feet for one-story development.
1,000?
I'm sorry. Yes, 1,000. I believe that's correct. Which nobody develops to that minimum.
Yeah. Nobody what?
Nobody develops to the minimum.
All right. What will the lot sizes be, or do we?
I believe that the lot widths on these are about 4,000, or I'm sorry, about 40 feet
40
of
foot
lot width,
lot-
which is
lot
the
width.
minimum. 40 to 50 feet.
So if you're looking at 40 times 100, that's 4,000 square foot lot.
Something like that, yes, sir. Which, again, that is the minimum for that particular zoning district.
All right. Now I think there was an issue about a fence. Is that resolved?
That was a question. Yes, the applicant in the letter that was provided to you all has agreed to fence the entire perimeter of the property.
Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Would you consider something less dense?
Yes, sir. Representative, we want to work with you guys and planning and zoning for what's best. We just feel that attainable housing is an underserved area in this particular price point and size. That's what we were really trying to cater to.
What size will your houses be?
They're 1,500 to 2,200 square feet.
That's a pretty big house for a little bitty lot.
Yes, sir. They're pretty deep, as you mentioned. So we've got the depth to work in two stories.
Would you go to 45? Would you go to 45?
If needed, if that's what you kind of think the community needs necessary, yes, sir.
That would change your, what we would attempt to do, we would attempt to change you back to an R1 zone, or is it R3?
It would be, we talked about going to R3. You could just condition the current zoning with, or add an additional condition to limit it to that number of lots.
Would that have to go back to P&Z?
No.
Okay. Well, then I'd like to make a motion to approve this with the reduced density to 45 houses per 12 point, whatever the acreage is. Yes, sir.
We have some people here in the audience. I'd like to hear from
Oh,
them
okay.
first.
But we've already had a public hearing on this,
That's correct.
so this is not a public
That's at
hearing.
the pleasure of the commission.
This is
But
not,
we'll listen, yeah, sure.
yeah, that,
Correct. We've already held a public hearing on this particular request.
all right, Mr. Langston? And James Hasbury. To reduce,
James he might have the same thing to talk about.
yeah, we're concerned as you are of the density.
Yes, in the area right there. I mean, you can't get out of my driveway. So how's 60 or 40? You know, I'm not against houses being built right there, but we need comparable houses to the neighborhoods behind us. You know, but let man here talk.
Yes, sir. James Hasbury.
Please state your name and your address, please.
Yes, sir. James Hasbury, Carroll Cove Community HOA President.
Right.
We are adjacent to this proposed development. So our valuation, our homes average about 11,000 square feet per bill.
How much?
11,000.
Your house?
Yes, sir. Our houses. And we have 163 homes in the Carroll Cove community, and they're R3, and they're R1, and they're averaging about 11,000 square feet per house.
Now,
that's huge, sir.
Lot size, not the house.
Lot size.
Okay.
So, I apologize. So, and our average houses are about 3,500 square feet. The last three homes that sold in 2023 was above the $500,000 mark. These 1,800 square feet houses that he's proposing, the valuation, I just pulled up some stuff this morning. The last 3 or 4 houses that were sold in that area at 1,800 square feet is in the 300,000, low $300,000 range. So we're trying to keep our values up and to grow beyond where we are. If this come in right next door to us with 2 or 3 more developments, that's proposed nearby us, that would definitely keep us down. So that's what we're concerned about, our values.
We have to reduce the number of houses from 59 to, I think, to 45. That would, Michael, we're trying to reach something here that the developer can live with and that the neighbors can live with. We need covenants, and I'm going to ask the legal here too. If no duplexes.
Well, again, they're just requesting RG, which only allows for single family. If you wanted to recommend a different or rezone it to a different zoning classification, then it would have to go back to Planning and Zoning Commission.
Well, I think that it may need to go back to planning and zoning for that, because I can't see the commission approving an RG zoning. And I think the developer is fine if we change it to something that he can actually develop and do what he needs to do. Sewer is there adjacent to the property, right?
No, sir. We're going to put in 1,000 feet for Jefferson County to get to the sewer side.
So we're working together to get the sewer there. So that takes care of a lot of the problems that we had right off the bat is dealing with the sewer. You don't, septic tank, and that's what that is. That would be a huge septic tank there. And we don't want that. Guys, y'all going to have growth there, and it's our job. It's the developer's job to make money and to build houses. It's our job to represent you and make sure that we do have orderly growth and that we're not imposing too badly on you. I understand that no one likes change. No one. And unfortunately, it's here, and it's right in the middle of McCalla, and it's going to be there. And we're trying to work through something that everyone can agree on. So, Michael?
Sir. Well,
So
let me ask this question.
Okay.
Can we do this today, or do we have to go back to P&Z?
Again, if you're going to recommend, or if the desire is to recommend a different zoning classification, it would have to go back to P&Z. If you're just adding conditions to what's presented to you today, it would not.
I think we need to go back to P&Z. It would be better if he were to if we deny it today, does that limit him coming directly back to the P&Z for further consideration?
He could come back. He could reapply with a new zoning classification in a modified plan.
Immediately?
He could, yes.
Well,
Okay.
But do we have to do that legally, Mr. County Attorney? I don't see why we can't just dispose of this today. We've been here 2 or 3 times, so. Okay. Well, I'll stand.
Suggestion?
Yes.
All right. If you're going to consider the R3 zoning designation, what you could do is basically condition the zoning today to say the minimum lot size and minimum lot width that applies to R3.
So moved.
And also restrict the number of lots and also the other recommended conditions?
Well, I don't
But the
wanna-
sidewalks and...
Yes.
The sidewalks are already in there, right?
Well, no. They would be installing sidewalks for the development and along Eastern Valley Road.
Huh?
They would be installing within the development and there along Eastern Valley Road. It's part of the county's bike and
Right.
head and bike plan.
We haven't heard from the developer yet, and we probably need to before we do make that decision. And we need to have these conditions that we've verbally talked. we need to make sure that they're in writing and that both parties understand the conditions for moving forward today. Okay?
I asked you one question before you leave.
Yes, sir.
If we do that and amend what's before us today, is it going to have any precedential value on other areas in this neighborhood that may come in the future?
That's correct. Well, anytime that somebody comes and applies for rezoning, say if the next property owner wants to make an application for rezoning, we'll tell them exactly, hey, this is what was approved here. This is the pattern that the county commission has established. You may want to revise your plan in order to be within the fabric of the neighborhood.
Yes, thank you.
You guys, you understand what we just said?
I'm a little bit confused about the R3 and R1.
And that's, yeah, and Michael, can you step back there and explain that? Or
Yeah, currently RG has a 40-foot lot width. R3 has a 50-foot lot width, so the lot width itself will be wider. And also the lot size increases to 7,500 square feet from the minimum 4,000.
But this is a 50-foot. His proposal is 50-foot or 40?
Proposal
40.
All right.
This would increase the minimum to 50.
How quickly can we get it back to P&Z?
If you want to refer it back to P&Z, we could get it on for their next agenda in September, and it would again come before the county commission pending. There's no hangover at P&Z in October.
You good with that?
I would rather, Ms. Knight, what you said earlier, if we're able to get this thing accomplished today, like I said, we can do this for a while, but whatever you guys feel is best, we want to do what's best for you and the community.
Well, it's going to set a precedent if we do it the way I recommended. So let's go back to P&Z, get it all squared up, because it's going to kind of set a standard for us for when the next people come and say, hey, we want to do this, but no, this is what we can do, this is what we won't. So I move that we carry it over to, return it to P&Z, and then we'll come back.
we have a motion?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It takes 3 votes to do anything dealing with the zoning issues. And what we're doing, and Michael and Darren, we met earlier, and we need to get some type of standardization because these type subdivisions are going to come from now on, and because they're
More and more.
yeah, and we're getting them throughout the county, and we need to no, not we, the developers need to have a better idea of what to expect with future developments, because our land use and those are old, and I'm gonna apologize to y'all for the problem that it's caused. You understand that we didn't have this problem when these regs were written, because these type houses didn't exist. So we're going to update, and we appreciate your consideration, and we have a motion and second. We've carried it over till
You've referred it back to
planning and zoning. Do we need to deny it here?
No.
Just refer it back. Okay.
Will it take another public hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
It's different zones.
2 other public hearings. One
Yeah,
for planning and zoning.
one in planning and zoning, one for us.
Well, that's just hoops, but I think it's the best thing that we need to get established.
We got to get it done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pardon me? Did we vote?
We voted.
We had a motion and a second.
Motion second. I said all in favor say aye, and after that I said, remember, it took 3 affirmative votes to do that. So, and went ahead and clarified what I said. So guys, for any of this, for y'all are here for the 240009, if y'all can ease if you want to. So I knew that would pretty much clear the room. And if the developer and the people will get together and try to understand the expectations, I think we'll be a lot better off. And we can't stop change, but we can make sure that it's the right type, okay?
Thank you, guys.
That went better than I thought.
Well, if it takes 6 or 7 days.
To get it right, we got to get it right.
I was surprised he said yes.
Yeah. Well, he knew. Our next case is Z240032. A request to change zoning to A1 for future residents and keeping animals on a farm, i.e. chickens.
Yes, sir, that is correct. This property is out on Crumley Chapel Road and sort of the rural side of the backside of Forestdale, Adamsville. It's a 2.4 acre property. It's currently zoned R40. That's legacy zoning from the 1970s. The applicant has gone out and constructed a pole barn, and there is a chicken coop that's on the property, and they've been keeping chicken here, and this case actually came to us as a complaint. Looking at the general area, directly across the street is agricultural zoning. There's agricultural zoning further to the east in the area between Pratt Highway and Chelsea Avenue, as you see on your screen. A lot of the residential zoning out there is comprised of large lots, which sort of resemble a more rural character, like an agricultural zoning would do. Here's some pictures from the property itself. We did have some opposition at the Planning and Zoning Commission hearing who had some issues with the chickens actually trespassing onto their property from the subject property itself. The vote to recommend denial was a split vote of the County Planning and Zoning Commission. It was a vote of 6-5 with 1 abstention. With that being said, Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend denial. If the commission is inclined to approve, staff is recommending conditions that chicken be kept in an enclosed area and avoid roaming the community and trespassing onto others' property. The applicant must cease all work on the property until permits are obtained, and there shall be no keeping of chickens for commercial purposes. You have any questions?
Are there any other chickens in the area?
The opposition that did come and speak mentioned that there had always been keeping of chicken in the area. I don't know if I can't test or swear that there is currently or not.
I hear you. The main concern was the chickens wandering.
That's correct.
And that has been taken care of with your conditions for approval.
That's part of the condition for approval, yes. And there was also some additional letters of opposition that has come in, and I'll place those on before you on the dais.
This is Crumley Chapel. That's right on mine and Scales.
Yes, I believe that's Commissioner Scales' district.
It belongs to Commissioner Scales?
Yes.
Yeah, I feel I'm uncomfortable doing this without her being in here. Any questions from any commissioners while we do that?
We got anybody going to speak to it?
Oh, yeah, when he finishes with that, I have 2. I have the Schultz family. Are you here still? Ms. Schultz, would you like to come to it? I'd like to open a public hearing at this time for the Z240032.
Good morning. I'm Gayla Schultz, and I'm representing the community of Crumley Chapel.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, they have already violated what was recommended conditions of approval. They extended that pole barn by about another 15 feet or so, and they had a huge party up there that rocked the neighborhood for 48 hours. They've made no effort to put up a fence around the property, and it's the same issues that we talked about last time. So the inspectors was out there on Monday when we walked up there to take a look, and I think they wrote them a notice to stop building because they were not approved. They didn't do what they were asked to do from the first meeting.
How long have they owned this property? Do you know?
I'm not sure. Couple years, I guess.
Okay.
I think they bought it on tax money.
Um,
But all
that-
the neighbors are opposed to this because it is the smell and the runoff and the loudness of the chickens and roosters making noise. They may have gotten rid of them. We haven't seen the chickens in recent days. But if it's approved to agriculture, they could basically put anything there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Cows, chickens, goats, whatever.
Anything that would be approved for an A1 zone,
It's
yes, ma'am.
directly, the property's on a hill and it's directly behind my mom's house, so everything comes downhill, you know, rain.
I do.
Everything, so, yeah. And chickens are nasty and noisy and not very good neighbors.
You've made a good point. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak to address? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Julia Saucedo. I am part of.
And what's your address, ma'am?
36. I'm here for my parents. They're the ones that applied for the.
Okay, but what's your address?
My address is 1424 Rayfield Drive.
Okay.
Since we were here last time, and we noticed that the chickens were a problem, like them being out, we had another neighbor who would notice when we didn't go, because we don't live there. There's nothing, like, there's not a house there. There's nothing to live there for. So my parents would go every day and open up for the chickens, thinking it was okay. So once we came to that meeting last month and we noticed it wasn't okay, we didn't let them out of the chicken coop. And another neighbor would let them out because she said she liked them on her property. But because we knew that it was bothering other people, we gave them away. We didn't want to have problems, and we didn't want to have animals until we fenced up. So that's why we had to give them away, and we're trying to get it rezoned.
You're trying to get it in compliance.
Yes, before we get the animals, because we understand that we made a mistake by getting the animals in there first without having the proper fencing. So now we're trying to get the fencing before we even get animals, so that they won't be an issue to the neighbors.
The structure that you built, and we had to have a cease and desist, I believe, Michael, is that right?
That is correct. They were cited for a zoning violation, and of course, anybody who's cited for a zoning violation, they have an option as a remedy to apply for either rezoning or variance to remedy the situation, and that's what they did.
My dad, I wasn't there on Monday whenever the inspector went by. So he told me that the inspector just was wanting some new drawings, because we did have some drawings turned in, but they said they were not the same. So we already talked with the architect to get them figured out, so we can go ahead, and we're trying to do everything we can in our control to get approved. And about the party, we didn't want to cause problems, but it was my parents' 25th wedding anniversary, so they wanted to, celebrate it, have all our family. We don't have family here. It's just us. All our family comes from out of town, so we wanted to have something special for our parents.
How far away do your parents live from this site?
We all live in Midfield, so it's about a 15-minute drive. But when we had the chickens, we would go on a daily basis. We still go now, not as often, because there's no chickens there. And but
what happened to the chickens?
We gave them away. We gave them to a family member.
Let me ask this question, too, because that's why you saw me moving around a little bit. That's been a topic of discussion. First of all, just for public consumption, the noise issue has nothing to do with the item that is before us this morning. Let me make sure that everyone understands that. The law department has made me aware of that. I have received communications from neighbors that surrounds the property. The one thing I will say, I'm very proud of the fact that you all are trying to address the issue and assume responsibility rather than it being an issue that you're continuing on to violate what seems to be a problem for your neighbors adjacent to your property. My question really would be for the law department this morning is that with the resolution, or as we see it right now, I noticed that it says that the chickens have to be enclosed into an area. You got to cease all the works until the permits are obtained, and then it said there should be no keeping of chickens for commercial purposes. Well, first of all, did you all have these chickens from the beginning for commercial purposes, or you just had chickens?
We just had chickens, but because we would let them out. They have a small chicken coop, so we would let them out during the day, and they would wander off. We lost some. So, well, what was mentioned last meeting was like we had like a certain quantity, and then we ended up with less. So that's why they thought we were doing commercial. But in reality, we're not doing it. We're doing it more for like the kids and to have them to eat. But it's not commercial at all.
When you said kids, what kids?
My kids and my sister's kids. And so it's all us in one, if that makes sense.
Right.
So that's what we would do in the afternoons. We would let the kids, take care of the chickens in the afternoon. Let them in the chicken coop.
Because I do understand from the sheriff's department too that again, going back to the 25th anniversary, that was a one-time thing. That was not something that you all do continuously.
Yes.
But Ms. Smith, in terms of our law department, what are we attempting to do as it relates to this resolution in terms of this zoning case? I want to be clear, not only for the neighbors, but for this family who's trying to comply within what it is that the county is requiring of them to do. Okay. So, Mr. Morrison, let me ask you something. Is the adjacent properties where this home is located, is there anything else that would be deemed agricultural around this particular piece of property?
Yes, ma'am. Directly across the street is agricultural zoning, and there's there's also an agricultural zoning established in the general area. Now, the area directly to the north is zoned R2. However, those lots themselves are larger and could quite frankly be visually considered something in agricultural zoning.
Okay.
It's a character piece.
So this is not spot zoning. It actually has properties that surrounds it that this particular property could fit in, but we just need to make sure that problems that existed at one time, or what brought us here today, that they are addressed if we were to vote.
Yes, ma'am. That is correct.
Okay.
Again, currently the property is on R4, which only allows for apartments.
Okay. But would you at least say more than 80% of the properties that surrounds this property specifically are already zoned agricultural?
I don't know that I'd say 80%, but I mean, again, you have established agricultural zoning in the general area. Directly across the street is A1. Again, everything to the north is actually zoned R2, but there are larger lots that sort of lend itself visually and everything else to think it's more like an agricultural or an estate type zoning that's there anyway.
So let me ask the neighbor, ma'am, if you would come up, if it's okay, Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am.
So now, ma'am, that you have an understanding of what has been articulated, tell me, how would you, knowing what you now know, how do you feel about that, meaning that you're already surrounded by properties that are zoned agricultural, in addition to the fact it seems as though they're trying to comply with what we have existing here. So I want to just see how you feel about this.
Well, the property directly across the street that he said was agricultural, they have horses. They have 13 acres across the street, and it's all horses. So horses and chickens are two different kind of animals, and they have lots of space. On Crumley Chapel Road, the 6, what is her address? Anyway, we're down below, and all the property on one side and down below on that whole street are, I guess, single family. In Pratt, over on the next neighborhood, but that's pretty far away. I think they're agricultural there. But I'm not sure I understand why she needs to have agricultural for a few backyard chickens, unless it's going to be something on a big scale. Why couldn't it just be zoned?
Are you going to answer, respond?
Single family zoning does not allow for keeping of fowl.
I read somewhere online that they could have a special permit to keep chickens. I mean, a few backyard chickens.
No, there's nothing in Jefferson County zoning regulations that allow that.
Yeah. Well, have you ever lived next to a person with chickens?
Actually, my family owned chickens. That's why this was so interesting for me.
They've torn up my mom's yard. They've dug out her flowers. They're nasty. They pooped all over the walkways. And I mean, they were not in compliance with the building part of it. They defied that. Conditions if approved. Applicant must cease all work on property until permit is obtained.
So let me ask.
They extended that pole barn after that first meeting without it being approved, okay? And they had this big, gigantuous party up there that rocked the neighborhood. I'm talking about vibrated the house for 48 hours just because they had a wedding anniversary. Well, we have people that need to go to work. I know this is a different thing, but if they defied that, what tells me they're going to defy having 20 chickens? If it's approved agricultural, how many chickens are they allowed? 100?
Yes.
Can you imagine
there's technically not a limit.
100 chickens descending down onto our property again and pooping up everything?
No, but I want to be clear, and Mr. Morrison, if you don't mind to stand back up again. Can you all refer back to, not giving you a directive, but Ms. Helen, if you don't mind, refer back to what planning and zoning is recommending if this were to be approved. That's going to be key, ma'am, to moving forward, how they must conduct themselves, which is the chickens must be kept in an enclosed area to avoid roaming the community and trespassing on others' property. Number 2, the applicant must cease all work on the property until permits are obtained. There should be no keeping of chickens for commercial purposes. Those 3 things, if we were to approve it, this is what we would be recommended by our zoning department, that if we were to do it, then we would be approving that also. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. But if there's no limit on chickens, they
I
can
would
have
add a
200
chicken limit.
chickens. Even if it's not commercial, they could say, well, they're for our personal use. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
I think it would degrade the property values and such.
So let me ask this. You said that there has been some activity in terms of construction of some kind, even since that. Is that true, Ms. Morrison?
I'm unaware.
Well, you can check with the planning people.
So, ma'am, are you sitting here?
County planning people were there.
Did you all do any additional work even after zoning said you couldn't?
I'm also unaware because I rarely go. It would always be my dad, my mom.
She's telling a lie.
But the inspector was there Monday.
They built onto the pole barn to have this big party. That's what they did.
And we got the police officer there yesterday afternoon taking pictures of that too. He said there wasn't an issue, but in case the chief called to go inspect the property. And on Monday they told us that everything had to be cleaned up, and that's what we did. We're trying to do our best that we can to get this.
So, Mr. Morrison, are you? I'm asking. Have you seen an attempt by this family to come into compliance with what the county is asking for?
Well, in order to come into compliance, they would have to apply for building permits.
Mm-hmm.
And building permits are reviewed at zoning. Currently, the only thing that can be constructed there are apartments. So we wouldn't be able to approve anything at this point in time other than the construction of an apartment building.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm kind of hearing on the dais is that there needs to be at least some restrictions in terms of the number of chickens that can be housed at that particular property. And so rather than have it open-ended, am I hearing correctly, Mr. President? Rather than having it open-ended, that there needs to at least be an amount that maybe the community wouldn't find to be excessive, but trying to be sensitive to what this family is trying to do. So it seems as though, is that kind of what I'm hearing from the dais, Mr. President and Pro Tem?
What?
That there needs to be some sort of restriction, like in addition to this.
Well, I think we just need to get to the vote.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of questions for the applicant. How long have y'all had that property?
Can you stand up and come to the podium? The record?
I want to say about 4 years.
Okay.
It was first under my name, and then it went under my dad's name, just because he needed to, get the water bill started. So I let him do it. But it's always been like around the family for 4 years.
Do you ever plan to put a residence there?
If permitted, we want to do.
If permitted.
I'm sorry.
You said if permitted?
If permitted, yes. We want to do a mobile home.
A mobile?
Mobile
home? You going to live there?
If we get the permit, yes, we would.
All right.
I'm John Schultz, and what they
Yes,
created
sir.
up there, John Schultz, and here's what happened up there. Now they changed the watershed. You can check with the inspectors. Now they got a wash-off going across Crumley Chapel Road, coming down that hill. Since they had it on, the drainage is going down and running down that road and washing out over that road. So there's a lot of issues up there in the building end.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else like to address? Public hearing is now closed.
I move we deny.
Mr. President?
Yes, ma'am.
I do have a subsequent.
I got a motion.
Go ahead.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Would you state your motion again?
I said I move that we deny the zoning.
Second.
We have a motion and a second now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I actually had a subsequent motion, which would have been for us to approve with the recommendations that staff had recommended, in addition to restricting the number of chickens that could be allowed at this particular property for agricultural purposes. But I understand and I see where we're going with it, and but that was going to be my motion.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to deny and a second. Minute clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Boland,
Yes.
Commissioner Knight,
Aye.
Commissioner Scales,
Abstain.
Commissioner Tyson, Commissioner Stevens.
Aye. Passes 3.
Mr. President, let me ask this.
Denial passes.
Denial passes.
Mr. President, let me also ask this question too, since this item has gone the way it has. So what instructions are we going to give these homeowner at this point in terms of this property, what they can do? Because you can't reapply, my understanding, for a permit for another 12 months, right? I mean, I'm making sure she understands that.
Yes, ma'am. They cannot apply for rezoning for a year.
Okay. In the meantime, what's going to happen with this property? We don't want it to just be sitting there and
Correct. Well, the
whatever.
violation stands, and then anything that was constructed or erected on the property would have to be removed.
Okay.
And I don't have a problem with, if somebody lived on that property and wanted some chickens, I don't have a problem with it. They live how many miles away, and then they got these chickens out there. I just don't.
So, ma'am, then a hint
I don't think
to-
we need to start.
No, I get what you're
Jumping
saying,
out
Commissioner.
loud
So
there.
do you understand what he's saying, ma'am? In essence, The discomfort with the commission is the fact that you all have chickens at a place that you don't live on the property. And so therefore you cannot control what happens on the property. Am I making sense? So then therefore when you go to reapply, it needs to be where someone actually lives on that property who's going to be responsible for what happens on the property.
Again, at this point in time, the only thing that we could permit is the construction of an apartment building.
Yeah. So they'd have to get the zoning changed.
Correct.
Okay.
What would the zoning have to
Well,
be?
the intent came out at the end with the questions, is that they, instead of applying for the chickens, they really wanted to bring a mobile home in there. So, if you give us full disclosure up front, you stand a lot better chance of getting approved or getting due consideration. But your intent was to go to A1 to where you could bring trailers in there. How many mobile homes do you intend to put in there? Okay. And at the end of this time, you're welcome to come back to the commission.
Restate your statement. She didn't understand you.
At the end of is it a year, Mike?
Yes, sir. It'll be a year from today.
A year from today, you can reapply. And if I were in your shoes, I would state my purposed intent. Okay? Purposed intent means tell us what you really want to do. Okay?
And if there's just a trailer up there, nobody living in it, that's a different thing than somebody living and being on the property where these animals are.
All right, we good? All right. Z240033. That's what we're on.
Yes, sir. This is a request to go from A1 to I1 for an office warehouse with outside storage for a contractor. This property is on Highway 31 in the Gardendale vicinity. In fact, I believe the property is completely surrounded by Gardendale. Directly across the street is some commercial businesses. Up the street and around the corner is a mini storage facility. You have industrial zoning on the opposite side of the street that's up to the north. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this request with conditions that the use of the property be limited to a contractor's yard with outside storage and any other use that would be allowed in the C1 zoning district. That's to keep the scope of the industrial request to a minimum. Secondly, that the existing dry stream bed, which is on the western side of the property, that serves to collect and redirect storm water away from the subject site, be protected with a 25-foot buffer on both sides of the center line of the stream bed. And you'll see the stream bed that's here. And talking with the property owner, he has no desire to expand onto that portion of the property anyway. That was expressed at the last public hearing before Planning and Zoning.
I'd like to open a public hearing on Z240033. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of or in opposition to this? If you're going to say for it.
For it?
I think you're good if you just
don't filibuster your own bill.
Yeah, you're good. Public hearing is now closed.
Move that.
Item's been moved, seconded. Call the roll.
Commissioner Boland?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight?
Aye.
Commissioner Scales?
Aye.
Scales.
Scales is out. All right, it takes 3 to get it done. It's done. See, didn't that work out good?
You ain't got no chickens out there, do you?
Z240035.
Yes, sir. This is a request to go from A1 to institutional 1 for the construction of a church campus. We did have some opposition, or not some opposition. We had some concerned citizens who attended the last public hearing, had concerns about possible or drainage implications. However, it was explained by after discovery where the folks were coming from, it was told by the engineer for the project that the drainage would actually be going in the opposite direction from where those residences were. And again, in this instance, Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval with conditions that the hidden stream at the northwest quadrant be protected against encroachment with 25-foot buffers or other civil engineering devices proposed by the developer's engineer. And 2, that the steep slopes adjacent to Pineview Road be stabilized with existing and or proposed vegetation. And again, that's just to help protect the steep slopes that are within the area.
Yes, that'd be very important to protect that slope and the drainage off of it, going down to Pineview, because that's work under construction now.
Like to open a public hearing on case Z240035. Is there anyone in the audience speak in favor of or in opposition to this? We have 2. So let's see what we got. First one, come on up.
We're in favor.
Both of you in favor, okay. Public hearing is now closed.
Moved on.
Item's been moved. Seconded. Call the roll, please. Minute clerk.
Commissioner Bowling?
Yes.
Knight?
Aye.
Commissioner Scales? Commissioner Tyson? Commissioner Stevens?
Aye. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, the last case I've got on the agenda from our end is that conditional use permit for the cell tower along I-22.
Right. Yeah.
Again, 2 cell towers is just to fill a gap in coverage that's within there. It's 255-foot lattice tower. As we discussed, we did send out public hearing notices as we're required to. There were no affected residential properties at all.
This require public hearing?
It does, yes,
Public hearing is now on the conditional use permit required for a 255-foot lattice cellular tower. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak in favor of or in opposition? You want to?
If you have questions, I represent the applicant, but we're obviously.
You learned, didn't you? Seeing none, the public hearing is closed.
Moved on.
Item's been moved, seconded. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Bowling?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight?
Aye.
Commissioner Scales?
Aye.
Commissioner Tyson? Commissioner Stevens?
Yes, please.
Commissioner, just to point out, there's another public hearing item for roads and transportation that was skipped. It's item number 1 on your agenda.
All right. One more item. Public hearing.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what it is and we'll open it.
This is a public hearing for vacation of right-of-way at Crosshaven. That project's been completed for a little closer to a year now, but now we're vacating the right-of-way where the old roadbed was, very small track, back to their underlying property owner. That property owner owns it's a car business right there on the corner of Crosshaven and Sunview. So we need to vacate that old roadbed back to the property owner.
In whose district is that?
It's in Commissioner Boland's.
Your district, okay.
Yes.
All right. Like to open a public hearing on the vacation of Crosshaven. Is there anyone in the audience speaking in favor of or in opposition to this? Before I close the public hearing, we need to have more information on all this next time we do it, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. All right. Public hearing is now closed. Chair will entertain a motion.
Move the motion.
Second.
All in favor? No. Call the roll.
Commissioner Bowling?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight?
Aye.
Commissioner Scales? Commissioner Tyson? Commissioner Stevens?
Aye. We're great. Thank you very much. And Chris, I see that it was on here. I overlooked it. I apologize for that. My gal Friday told me about that. Anything from County Manager's office?
I just thank y'all, thank General Services, and having everybody working a good long a while to get the animal shelter built and big out on that tremendous project. I'm glad, thankful for y'all for the funding and ready to get it done and open. We're thankful for our leaders to help get that moving.
County Attorney's Office. Any commissioner wants one?
I'm good.
This meeting is recessed until further notice.
Y'all hang on. Scales probably wants to come back here and say something.